Welcome back to Total Freedom Radio with Rina Lynn, the show that's all about raising the bar of knowledge, healing hurting people, and spiritual warfare. In today's program, we're going to hit all three of those. I'm interviewing a gentleman with a ministry that is very dear to my heart, and it's something that should be on all of our minds right now in America because it's a growing problem. Anyone who has been a hurting child, known a hurting child, or have dealt with people who has been a hurting child in their past needs to hear this program. So please like, subscribe, and send to your friends. And let me introduce my guest. Today we have with us Craig Mickel of the website savingourchildren.com. Craig, thank you for coming on our program today. And would you introduce yourself to my guests for people who may not know who you are and tell them a little bit about what you do?
Well, sure. My name's Craig Mickel, and just it's savinggodschildren.com. Okay, so we got to put God in the mix right there. I'm 65 years old. I'm a retired fireman of 30 years up here in Western Maryland. And after the movie Sound of Freedom, my wife and I felt like we needed to do something. We didn't know exactly what to do. And so we started looking into this real issue of what the child sexual predators and child sex trafficking is in our own local community. And we realized that it wasn't just a film overseas. It's a real problem every city, every small town, every big town in America. And we saw a gap where the church was really not invited to participate. I think they've always been invited. I guess maybe they just haven't stepped up to it. And we felt like we should provide a platform for Christians to be able to speak appropriately about it and to feel like they can actually do something. So we created savinggodschildren.com.
Craig, I appreciate that tender spirit and that willingness to step in when God calls it. We've all had that thumb in our back where out of the blue one day God says, "Hey, I want you to do this." And you're like, "I never occurred to me to do that." Um, Audience, I want you to understand that to my knowledge, Craig has the only anti-human trafficking, anti-child predator educational trailer in the nation that goes out and tells the story of all the heinous acts going on in every American town and city, big or small. Now, Craig has sent me some pictures, and I know those of you on the radio station can't see them. So after you listen to this on KRRB radio, go on over to Rumble, YouTube, or Brighteon.com and watch the video version so you can see the pictures. And so, Craig, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you some questions, put up some pictures, and then I'll let you describe the picture and what's going on and what it means to your organization, your ministry. And anything that you wanna jump in and do, please let me know that. Let me find my little PowerPoint. They're always hiding down here from me when I need them the most. And I think I just accidentally turned it off, so of all things. So why don't you start with telling them a little bit about the type of work that you do? Like, I know on your website you have a lot of resources. Why don't you tell them about the one that's called Parents Toolbox while I get this up and running?
Okay, so after we got the website, which actually became active in January of 2024, it looked good. And I have a way to track the number of people that come to it. You know, it's like build it and they'll come. Well, the problem is you don't get a lot of people coming. Doesn't matter how good your website is. So when I started to look into this thing, the whole problem, well, how am I going to draw people to this website without a huge PR budget? And I started looking at, and when I was going out and I was talking to different organizations about what's going on here in the local Western Maryland, and I realized as I was talking to them that they needed these resources as parents. And they were really interested in like the RoboBlocks because a lot of kids play RoboBlocks and Snapchat and all these types of internet things that their kids are on. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if we just had like one little area that they could click on and everything would be there that they would need. So that's what we did. We created Parents Toolbox. If you think about your toolbox in your garage, right? And if you need a screwdriver, you go to the drawer that has screwdrivers. If you need the hammer, you go where hammers. And so what we did is we created it basically from the parking lot, which talks about when your kids are young and you're worried about them being abducted, to being on the internet, to, up to high school, and put all the things that are really facing our children from that age bracket, and connecting you to resources like Internet Crimes Against Children, National Missing and Exploited Children. These are the experts who have been dealing with this for years and decades. And why not tap into their information and their knowledge base to build your knowledge base up so you can build that plan to build that wall of protection around your children.
Yeah, and I love that, and I'm gonna clip into your, picture now that you have on the side of your trailer when you go around, and we're gonna, um I'm telling you, the enemy is against this program right now. That thing just disappeared. I have never, ever had as much trouble. Craig and I have been working all morning getting stuff put in, and the enemy has just done amazing things against us. You guys pray for this program, and I would like to say we're dedicating it to Jesus Christ and His work here on the earth for
Amen.
humanity. And I normally do that right at the beginning of the show, but I did not. Um, for those of you that cannot see because you're on the radio, I'm going to describe this logo, this picture that Craig carries on the side of his trailer, and then I'm going to clip back to him and let him talk to you about it. It says savinggodschildren.com. It's got a picture of a young child breaking out, looks like through a cardboard box, and says it's worse than you think, and that you hold the key to stop child trafficking. The scripture on it is Galatians 6:2. Bear one another's burdens to fulfill the law of Christ. So, Craig, tell us, why you created this looking like it did and what it symbolizes to you.
Well, I owe that to Rob Pugh, who does Wisconsin Christian News, because I took out an ad. Like I said, I understood that I was going to have to do public relations and to get the website out there. And when he drew the ad, he came up and he had that already done. I was like, well, wow, that's just like killing two birds with one stone. I don't have to go out and recreate it. And what you're seeing is a cargo trailer. So about after about 2 months, 3 months of the website, I was like, gee, I'm not really getting the people to come through here. So what do you got to do? You got to go out and grab the people. And I just had this thought. I was like, I saw different businesses, right? You got to market this stuff. Unfortunately, you have to market it. You got to be like a business, not in the sense of collecting money, but getting customers. And I saw like a advertisement that was Sloan Music, and they had this old, U-Haul truck with Sloan Music on the side of it, wrapped. And I thought, well, why don't I just do that for Saving God's Children? And so I had some donations, and I put some of my own money in it. We bought this brand new 5x12 cargo van, and the idea was to make it a mobile, like the bookmobile that would come into your local community, and you got books in it. Well, what did I want to do? I wanted to show pictures of missing children from the tri-state area, Maryland, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, where we live in the Panhandle, and I wanted to have the resources there uh, where parents could grab them right there. Then what I wanted to do is I was able to get a big cork board, about 5x8 cork board, and I put in uh, articles of predators, things that were going on locally, of activities where children had been sexually abused by their teachers, pastors. It didn't matter who it was, so that people could see these articles. These are news articles, and a lot of the people skip over them, or for whatever reason they don't see them. They don't want to get involved in the news, whatever. And you need to push this in front of their eyes. And so when they walk through here, they're going through all that. And then what I have is I bought a generator, and I'm going to I have a TV. I haven't put it up yet, but I'm going to have victim stories. So as they're walking through this trailer, because it has a big ramp on the back where you can walk up and you can walk through it, and you're doing it, you're hearing this person who either their mother or their stepfather, sold them, their boyfriend, because the victim stories are what really grabs people's attention. And those little 5 minute segments, which we do have posted on our website via Love 146, which is another organization, they're very powerful. And what we also like to do about saving God's children, we're not the end of all ends. What we want to do is we want to work collaboratively with all organizations that are pushing back against child trafficking and child predators, give everybody a shout out for the good work that they're doing, and highlight their good things.
I love that. I like the fact that you're integrating other people in, you're working with different ones, and it's not, um it's not all a one-man show because no one man can't do it all, but also we all have to get involved. And we have to work together and we have to save our children. I have 2 children, and back in the day, it was always scary. I'll never forget the first lesson I had. Thank God it was a friend of mine. I took my child to the grocery store. I mean, she was like 6 weeks old, and I'm standing, I'm telling you, 2 inches from the cart, and I turned to the side, and I'm looking through meat, and I'm right there. I turned around, and she was gone. And I almost had a heart attack on the spot and immediately, looked the other way. And a friend of mine was standing there holding her. He'd gotten her out of the cart. And when he saw how afraid I was, he felt really bad. But I said, "No, I am so glad you did that. Because if you had
Mhm.
told me someone could take my child out of the cart with me standing right here beside her this close, I would have thought you were crazy." But I'll tell you, it did something for me. And from that on, I would hold a hand on her leg or make sure she was buckled in or whatever it needed to be. But our children are at risk today with predators, and I'm gonna show another one of the pictures, and we'll go into that and see what's next on our list. Um, this slide says before they turn 18, 1 in 6 boys experience some form of sexual abuse. 1 in 4 girls experience some form of sexual abuse. Craig, many people do not know that it's that bad. I have ran onto those stats before, but what can you tell us about that? Because do you run into adults now that tell you that they were one of those children? Do you think these numbers are right on track?
Oh, without a doubt, because I'll take this trailer and you'll show some other pictures of it. I'll go to like the farmers markets. I'll go to the Washington County Fair. I'll go to the races wherever they'll let me set my trailer up. I'll do that, and as I'm out there, no kidding, 7 out of 10 times, someone will come to me and say I was sexually abused by a family relative or I was a victim of human trafficking. 7 out of 10 times. Okay. So this is very prevalent. And one of the reasons that it's gotten much more prevalent is because pornography and cell phones and technology. Okay. It always has been a problem. But right now we're in a exponential synergized problem because of the technology, because of the rapid ease of watching pornography on your phone. And it's just, it's off to the races.
I was on a support group for a few years after some life experience of my own and talked to multitudes of women. There were 25,000 women on that website, and you'd be surprised at the stories that I heard. I've interviewed a lot of them. I did a narcissistic abuse recovery meetup for years and met some gentlemen, and their stories were, I think, even more horrific than the women's. My book series deals with a lot of this. It's kind of a little rough in places that kind of maybe put some people off, but the whole purpose is to get the bar of knowledge out there that this goes on. And if the people who find it very distasteful, I guess would be the word I would use, that don't want to hear about this subject, they have to become on board because it's happening every day. And not only are their children experiencing this and going through this torture and this hell, but adults continue to go through this until they get the healing program. And part of the healing program is being accepted for who you are, what you've lived, and given that support to move forward out of it. And the church needs to be a part of that because a true healing comes from Jesus Christ. And if he's not involved and the church not involved, and you always want to keep people away, then we're not doing our job. I interviewed a lady a couple of weeks ago. You'll find her interview on there, Sandra Stickler. No, excuse me, it was Natalie Chilton. She wrote the book Unsilenced. And she had gone into the church and she was telling her story of, she had been trafficked. She had moved into several areas in her life, but they basically told her to sit down and close her mouth. They wouldn't hear from her. Obviously, she
Well,
left church. So the church to me has some growth to do. We've talked about that in the past, but show just a few more pictures for the audio. I mean, excuse me, the video part of Craig's trailer that he carries around because I want you to see how effective this can be. And then Craig, we're gonna have to stop and let me acknowledge my sponsors for just a minute, and then we'll get right back into it. I'm gonna go ahead and throw up some stats here just for a moment. You can read them all in the video. I don't have time on the radio, but 317,869 children go missing every year in the U.S. 871 children go missing every day on average, and 19,706 children go missing and are not found every year in the US. People, we got to get involved in this. This is insane. The highest number of children, not surprising to me, is that go missing is in the month of October. Now, if you'll go and find my ancient paganism classes on this, I'm doing a series on Halloween right now and what actually goes on that people don't want to hear about. But these stats go exactly with that teaching, and it goes exactly with what Craig's saying that happens to children, and we need to get on there. Um, we'll pass that one for a minute. All right. Here again, and again, I know on the radio you're not going to see this, so go look it up on the video channels. But we got pictures of his trailer and how he carries around the displays that he puts up with all kinds of information that people are able to take. And again, go to savinggodschildren.com and access this information for yourself. Share it with your friends, share it with the school, share it with the church. Here's a new billboard that he has that he's carrying around, and I'll let him tell you about that just in a minute after I show the pictures. Craig, give me just one moment to acknowledge my sponsors, and we'll get back into that.
Yes, ma'am.
Help support this show while protecting your family. Go to rena-theinsurancechick.com and fill out a contact sheet. I'll get back to you and get you an insurance quote. I do all kinds of life policies and annuities. I'm a certified college planner and can also hold a certification in debt-free life policies and infinite banking. Contact me today. Story or your job. It helps me get the character. I'm telling you, everything is
Folks,
restarting
don't
today. Forget to check out my new book series, Prepare for the End. Just go to rinalynn.com and click on any book cover, and it'll take you straight to Amazon. You can get them in paperback or ebooks. If you like good love stories, drama, espionage, crime, struggling people who've lost their way and need help from those around them, it has it all. It's a classic saga of good versus evil, chock full of visits from the angelic realm from players on both sides. We have two groups of families that have been at war for over a century in Central Texas, and those that serve the dark side are fueled by the Serpent King, who is determined to take out God's men and women before they can stop the evil he leads his followers to do. Each side is determined to represent their God well, and as in Old Testament times, sometimes Jesus himself makes an appearance to speak to his faithful followers and call them to task for end time events. People shockingly change sides, and it's a race to see who will make it through to stand before God and hear, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." Go to renalynn.com and help me get God's word out through my characters and their struggles to understand why they are so attacked. Send the link to your friends and help me be successful at the task that God's given me. While you're there, leave a donation to help with publishing and radio costs. A good way to do that is with a one time donation, but also you can set up a small monthly recurring donation that I can count on to make sure I can keep the new books coming. Sometimes they're delayed while I save the funds. You can also click into rena-theinsurancechick.com and send me a contact form, and I'll get you an insurance quote. I have an A+ accredited Better Business Bureau rating, and everyone needs the products I offer. Drop me an email and share your story or your job. It helps me get the characters authentic. All right, we're back with Craig Mickel from savinggodschildren.com. And Craig, we looked at some more pictures of your trailer. What other ways that has been effective? I know it has to be a moving billboard for you, but do people just do they come up when they see it? Are they curious? How does that work for you?
Yeah, well, what we do is obviously we have the cargo trailer, but also what I do is I have a couple of trailers because one is I want people to you got to advertise, and I started looking at what it takes to get a billboard. It's like $1,000 a month, and I'm like, well, that's money great for a month. I was like, why can't I put it in something? So what I started doing is I bought a 10-foot trailer, and I got a 5x10 sign on both sides, and I can park it in a parking lot. I can go to, the Lowe's parking lot. It takes two spots in my Tahoe. Leave it over the weekend. I can get some churches. Sometimes the churches have great places by the roadsides, main roads. You can just ask them where you can park it during the week. People will drive by, see the sign. I also try to get involved with the churches and say, look, I'm happy to come in and set up a little static display in your lobby of some information that might be interested. I'll help your youth pastor set up a program about how to protect your children, how to deal with this, make sure the parents understand what the resources are. A lot of people don't know there are paid apps that you can put on your child's electronic devices that will eliminate, 99% of the chances of them coming across a predator. But a lot of it's education. A lot of people don't understand. People think they understand it better than what they do. They don't understand the depravity and the depth of the problem. One of the things is, my child's really, really good, and take them to Christian, church services and all that. The problem is when they go down to the little boy that's 11 or 12 years old that is watching pornographic movies and wants to carry those images out into like a real life event.
Mm.
Okay, well, guess what? Now your little girl is now being exposed to that, and you don't necessarily put that two and two thing together. It's like, well, it's a nice family. We've known them for 10 years. It's probably a nice young man. The problem is he's been sexualized for the last 2 years on his phone, and you don't understand that threat.
Well, and now it's not just little boys targeting little girls, it's little boys targeting little boys. So, and girls too. I know I was surprised when my children were in high school because it just wasn't a part of my world to find out that one child that I knew said to me that she was the only child on the softball team that wasn't gay. And I was
Hmm.
totally astounded because, these are like tenth grade kids. So
Yeah.
it's a little surprising. And I would like to have you back and let's do just one whole program on what you have to offer churches and pastors and what you would like to see them do in their area. And that way it's all contained in one show and I can send that to the pastor that I know and you can as well. Um,
Okay, great.
Right. Let's go back and find our pictures and see. There is one. Is it the picture that I went past a while ago? Is it okay that we talk about that?
Yeah,
Did you
which
catch
one?
it?
Just
Did you catch it? Let me go back one or two. This one. Hang on a minute. Hang on. All right. Now
okay.
I can hear you.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that one there is when I put this website together. What I wanted people to see is how bad it is. So I have predators apprehended. So what I do is like when something comes across my feed, my news feed, or even the people that know me, they'll send it to me. They're like, "Oh, this person got caught doing this." I put it under predators apprehended on the website. And what you can do is you can just go through list after list after list after list of all these events that have happened over the last maybe month, 2 months, 6 months, and see what's really going on around the whole country. Because the thing is, if it's happening over in Cincinnati, it's probably happening right there in your local town too, or at least in your state. And you need to be aware of this. And the thing is it's just, like the school teachers and the pastors and youth pastors. I mean, they're, you're in Texas, right? You know about Rob Moore. Was it Rob Morris? I mean, so we got a problem in the church. It's a cultural thing. It's a spiritual thing. And, we need to see that how bad it is before we really start to engage it. And that's what I make predators apprehended for.
I think that's correct, and I'll tell you, I sell life insurance. I've been all over 9 counties here, and I've talked to people when you're sitting in their home talking about these tough subjects, the conversation gets a little interesting at times, and I cannot tell you the number of mothers that have shared to me that the experiences that their child has had or that they have had. Um, in fact, I'm compiling a book right now of people. If you know anyone who would like to add a chapter, just give them my contact information, or they can go to Ask Rina Lynn at yahoo.com and drop me an email. But each person will have a chapter of their story and then how God brought them through it. Because God, there's some amazing stories I've heard out there. But while people are in it, I'm telling you, children are vulnerable. Um, physically they cannot save themselves and sometimes mentally and emotionally they're so crippled that they cannot. There's a YouTube channel on and I should have looked it up but I didn't. It's something Sosa, but it's a group of people that tied into law enforcement and they are targeting child predators and it goes, it actually shows like one of the women, they'll dress up like they're younger, and then they have someone who does facial stuff on it that it makes them appear younger. But that shows how these predators are grooming these young people. And then when they go to meet them, it's the law enforcement. And so I think it ties in a lot with what you're keeping up with, and I'm just so grateful that people are doing that. We have got 3 minutes left. Just empty your heart here and tell people what you wanna know, and again, save the stuff for the churches so we can stick all that in one, unless you just need it to be here.
Well, the thing is, I want you to go to the website because the website is a platform. It's not a platform for me. It's a platform for you. That's why we created it. And for you to have, to learn about it, to speak about it, to share with others about it. If gas was, 50 cents a gallon at the local gas station, you'd probably call 10 people. Hey, go get your gas tank filled. All right. Here, this is a website for you to share with your family and your friends and your church members and stuff. The people that you work with, right? They have kids. You go, well, my kids are all grown up. Well, do you work with someone that does have kids? Well, yeah, I do. Well, why don't you send them over to Parents Toolbox, okay? Because you don't want them to have to go through this. This is a tragedy. I mean, if anybody's ever known anybody who has lost their child and has never found
Mhm.
them, I mean, their life is just ruined. And the other thing is we need to step up as the church because we might not be the people that go in and break down the doors and all that kind of stuff, but who's going to receive these broken people? It's
Yes.
our job as the church to be able to do this. And if we don't start educating ourselves and thinking that it's our responsibility, we're going to have to answer to Christ because Jesus said there's a sin of omission and commission. Commission is you commit the sin, omission is you have the ability to address it and you don't. And we don't want to be sitting, I don't want to be sitting in front of Jesus and say, well, you knew what this problem was, Craig, but you just stood on the side.
Mm.
You didn't have any time in a year to be able to address this. I think you need to have a real heart to heart with the Holy Spirit and ask what you can do to address this problem because you know what Matthew 18:6 says? Better a millstone tied around your neck and sent into the deepest part of the ocean, not the the shoreline, the deepest part, who hurts one of these little ones from coming for me. I cannot think of anything that would probably make a kid ask, is there really a God? If they were sexually abused 10, 15 times a day for 3 years, and then go up there when they're adult and say, yeah, really, Jesus really loved me when I was 5. We need to address it. We need to address it spiritually and we need to address it physically.
Craig, I love that, and I think there's a lot of open ministries there, even getting a counseling degree. But I want you to, emphasize, or I guess I'll have to, we got 30 seconds left, that everything on your website is free, everything is usable, download it and get it, and we're gonna pick this up next week, and we're gonna talk about what churches can do, what organizations can do, what 4 or 5 men in an area can do with Craig Mickel from Saving God's Children. And Craig, thank you for coming on the Total Freedom Show, and because that's what it's all about. We want total freedom for these children from day one. So
Amen.
I'll see you next week, and thank you so much.
Amen.